And the
individuals.
people you fired, those 12 people, they were experts on Iran, were they not?
I don't believe so.
They worked in counterintelligence, did they not?
I'm taking you at your word, sir. I'm not familiar with every
You're the
single
chief
word.
director. I'm not. You should know the answer. You fired the people. Where did they work?
People were terminated for violating their ethical obligations and the high standards.
Just days before the U.S. military operation against Iran, the FBI dismissed officials from a unit focused on Iranian counterintelligence. When Congress demanded an explanation, the director struggled to give a clear answer.
You had a question from Dr. Jackson about the shutdown we're in now with Homeland Security, and I believe you said that this would be harmful to America because of the threat from Iran. Is that correct? Do I recall that correctly?
Generally, yes, sir.
How many days before we invaded Iran did you know we were going to launch an invasion?
We can get into those details in a classified setting, but I work with my colleagues across the spectrum here to give me advance warning so that we can reinforce.
Was it 2 days, 3 days, a month?
It was sometime before that, sir.
Sometime before that. So you had not. With that knowledge, why did you fire at least a dozen agents in Counterintelligence Unit 12 that specializes in Iran counterintelligence, which makes us much less secure and safe with this war going on from Iranian attacks potentially against our country?
As I said earlier, Congressman, I don't work on timelines when these terminations occur. There are internal investigations conducted by the careers at the FBI that highlight unethical or inappropriate conduct, and it's up to me to make the decision. But our Iran Threats Mission Center has never been more resourced, as I've highlighted, a 43% increase in counter-espionage arrests from Iran alone, and 360 ongoing terrorism investigations with Iran-affiliated individuals.
And the people you fired, those 12 people, they were experts on Iran, were they not?
I don't believe so.
They worked in counterintelligence, did they not?
I'm taking you at your word, sir. I'm not familiar with every
You're the
single
chief
word.
director. I'm not. You should know the answer. You fired the people. Where did they work?
People were terminated for violating their ethical obligations and the high standards.
Was
that
the
we
ethical
have.
violations that they dealt with the case of the classified documents that were found at the bathroom in Mar-a-Lago, was that the ethical issue?
As I said earlier, all those matters are pending litigation, so I'm not going to comment on them.
Director Gabbard, are you familiar with CI-12?
I'm not, Congressman.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. In the intelligence community's unclassified annual threat assessment from last year, it said, quote, Iran's large conventional forces are capable of inflicting substantial damage to an attacker, executing regional strikes, and disrupting shipping, particularly energy supplies through the Strait of Hormuz. It seems the IC was entirely correct in its assessment about Iranian retaliation in the Strait. Did the IC's assessment about Iranian capabilities in the Straits of Hormuz change in the past year?
No, Congressman.
Does Iran still have the capability to threaten shipping in the Straits of Hormuz with missiles, mines, and small boats?
Their capabilities have been largely degraded, but yes, they still have means to threaten passage through the Strait of Hormuz.
And how long can they keep the strait closed?
Based on current events, I'd have to get an updated assessment from the intelligence community on that.
This wasn't just a military debate. Following the U.S.-Iran conflict, intelligence officials continued warning that Tehran still retained the ability to threaten shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, keeping global energy markets and oil prices on edge despite heavy damage to its military capabilities.
Did you have an analysis of the impact of a war on global supply chains and the price of oil and gas?
I believe that assessment may have come from the Department of Treasury or Energy.
It didn't come through your office.
It came from their element within Department of Energy or Energy.
Do you know if the president was briefed on those assessments?
I believe so, but I can't confirm.
So if he was briefed on those assessments that was a problem and the Straits of Hormuz could be shut off and that's causing a great problem in the world's economy with oil prices going up to, I think, under $120 or something a barrel and an effect on all countries' economies, why would the president not have taken actions to strengthen defense around the Strait of Hormuz?
All I can say is that the president ultimately is responsible for making the decisions based on the totality of information and intelligence that he has available to him.
the intelligence that he has available to him. That's a scary thought. Does the IC know where Iran's enriched uranium is?
The IC has high confidence that we know where it is.
And can you tell us that in classified?
We can speak more about this topic in the classified setting.
Okay. Could it be, we have methods of destroying it?
This is a conversation for a closed setting, sir.
Do you have any idea what the purpose of the Marines being sent, the units that are being sent over there, is the idea that we will put troops with boots on the ground in Iran?
ODNI and the IC is not involved in the operational planning and movements of the Department of War assets.
Thank you. I'll be very honest with you. When you made your original comments, it was kind of scary because of all the craziness that goes on in the world. I can't wait for the classified setting.
In early March 2026, reports revealed that FBI Director Kash Patel had dismissed roughly a dozen agents and analysts assigned to CI. 12, the Bureau's specialized unit responsible for counterintelligence and counterterrorism investigations involving Iran and the broader Middle East. The dismissals drew immediate bipartisan attention because they occurred only days before the United States launched major military operations against Iran. Following those reports, Representative Gracemang, the ranking Democrat on the House Appropriations Subcommittee overseeing the FBI, formally demanded explanations from Patel, arguing that reducing experienced Iran specialists immediately before an anticipated conflict could weaken the nation's ability to respond to retaliatory threats inside the United States. Patel, however, continued to defend the personnel decisions, stating publicly and during congressional testimony that the terminations resulted from internal ethical investigations and insisting that the FBI's Iran mission had actually expanded, citing a significant increase in Iran-related counterespionage arrests and hundreds of ongoing terrorism investigations connected to Iran. The broader security concerns discussed during the hearing also remained active throughout the months that followed. After U.S. military operations against Iran, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and the intelligence community continued warning about the possibility of Iranian retaliation against U.S. interests, including cyber operations, proxy attacks, and potential threats inside the homeland. Intelligence officials continued briefing Congress on Iran's remaining capabilities, particularly its ability to threaten commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz using drones, naval mines, missiles, and fast attack craft despite suffering significant military losses during the conflict. Congressional oversight also continued regarding staffing levels inside the FBI's counterintelligence division, coordination between federal agencies, and whether personnel changes affected the Bureau's readiness to respond to evolving threats from Iran. Although no public evidence has emerged showing that the CI-12 staffing changes directly reduced the FBI's operational effectiveness, lawmakers have continued requesting additional classified briefings and documentation regarding the Bureau's counter-Iran strategy and homeland security posture. This hearing centered on a question that extends well beyond one personnel decision. How should intelligence agencies balance internal accountability with maintaining specialized expertise during periods of heightened international tension? Representative Steve Cohen argued that removing experienced counterintelligence personnel immediately before military action against Iran created unnecessary risk, particularly because those officials possessed years of experience tracking Iranian intelligence activities and potential retaliatory threats. His concern reflected a broader principle that national security agencies should preserve critical institutional knowledge during rapidly changing international crises. Director Kash Patel strongly disagreed with that characterization. Rather than discussing the backgrounds of the dismissed employees, he repeatedly emphasized that personnel actions were based on internal ethical standards rather than operational considerations. Patel also argued that the FBI's overall focus on Iran had actually increased, pointing to expanded investigations involving Iranian espionage and terrorism as evidence that the Bureau remained fully committed to addressing threats from Tehran. From his perspective, maintaining professional standards within the organization was fully compatible with strengthening national security operations. Another important portion of the hearing shifted from personnel issues to intelligence assessments regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Cohen noted that previous intelligence community reports had accurately warned that Iran possessed the ability to disrupt one of the world's most important shipping routes. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard acknowledged that although Iran's military capabilities had been significantly degraded, Tehran still retained the capacity to threaten maritime traffic using asymmetric tactics. That exchange demonstrated how even after successful military operations, intelligence agencies continue evaluating the risks posed by unconventional capabilities that are often more difficult to eliminate completely. The discussion also highlighted Congress's oversight role in evaluating the consequences of military action beyond the battlefield. Cohen questioned whether the administration had adequately considered the possible effects of conflict on global energy markets, supply chains, and fuel prices before military operations began. While intelligence officials explained that some economic assessments were prepared by other departments, the exchange illustrated how modern national security decisions increasingly involve coordination across intelligence, defense, economic, and diplomatic agencies, rather than relying solely on military planning. One notable aspect of the hearing was the repeated distinction between what officials could discuss publicly and what required classified briefings. Several of Cohen's questions regarding Iranian enriched uranium, military planning, and operational capabilities received responses indicating that the information could only be discussed in a secure setting. That reflects a common challenge in congressional oversight. Lawmakers seek detailed public accountability, while intelligence officials must also protect classified information that could affect ongoing operations or reveal sensitive collection methods. The exchange ultimately reflected two competing priorities. Cohen focused on preparedness, institutional expertise, and ensuring that experienced personnel remain available during periods of elevated threat. Patel emphasized organizational integrity, arguing that personnel decisions should be based on conduct rather than timing, and that the FBI remained fully capable of addressing evolving threats despite the staffing changes. Both perspectives were rooted in concerns about national security, but they approached the issue from different institutional viewpoints. Looking back, this hearing became part of a broader national discussion about how intelligence agencies should adapt during periods of conflict. The questions raised were not limited to one FBI unit or one military operation. They addressed larger issues involving congressional oversight, leadership accountability, intelligence readiness, interagency coordination, and the balance between organizational reform and operational continuity. As tensions with Iran and other strategic adversaries continue to evolve, those same questions are likely to remain central to future intelligence and homeland security debates.